Right, so yeah, let's start here. Okay, yeah, because you can see we're going through, all the efforts you took, to replicate this website, and the result is just perfection. The result is perfection. Thank you very much. It made my day looking at this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Page 8. Okay, this I'm supposed to type this motion design. Okay, so the very basics, right? I think let me even delete all of this, right? Let's go back to the concept of frame, right? In order to understand the concept of motion, talk about the concept of frame. Now, as I said before, in our very first class, was it first class? I used count, but a frame is basically like a picture frame. When you are drawing, if you've seen artists paint a picture, they normally paint it on canvas. Like they paint their picture on canvas, and then after painting it on canvas, they frame it. Sometimes when they frame it, the canvas is actually bigger than the picture. No, the canvas is actually bigger than the frame. And then they have to wrap the canvas around the frame. But then what you can see is the frame, right? Is what is within that frame. So the canvas can be bigger, the art can be bigger, but the frame puts it into perspective what the artist wants you to focus on. And that is exactly what frames do. Now, another thing frames do is some artists have learned, I think all the way back, back when they started doing Mickey Mouse and all of that, the very first black and white Mickey Mouse that our great grandfathers was, that when you move frames fast enough, like when you have identical frames, right? So this is one frame. I don't know if in primary school, any of you did that thing where they drew things on multiple pages and then they flip the pages fast enough. And then when they flip the pages fast enough, it started to give an illusion of motion, right? So that is kind of what, so if I put this thing like this and then this one, I move it also slightly, and then this other one, I copy this one and put it, and then this one, I move it also slightly, also slightly again. And then this one again, I also move it also slightly again. Now, I want us to do something, right? So I'm going to connect these things in such a way that I want to kind of make it look like I'm flipping the pages pretty quickly. So I think how that is going to work is this already a very big. How that is going to work is if I say prototype it and connect this one to this one, and then connect this one to this one, and then connect this one to this one. So the way they are connected, if you look at the details, is basically if I click and then it's supposed to navigate from frame one to from one of the frame to the other one. And in order to show effect, I'm going to connect this one to this one, also by click. Now let's see. I think this is actually a new what's relatively new prototyping method that Figma brought, I think, last year. On-screen prototyping. Now, if I click this thing, this ball is supposed to move a little. You can see, oh, sorry, my bad. I don't even want it to be that advanced. I didn't want it to be that advanced. I want it to be a string smart animate. No, I don't want that. I want instant. I want you to feel, the whole weight of I also want this one to be instant. And I want this one to be instant too. Right, okay, so let's start afresh. Yeah, so when I click this now, it's supposed to move from one of the frames to the other frame. Like it's like why is it taking so much time? Sorry, are you guys still there? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just network issues then. Why you just all right. So when I click this, you see, it's like I'm moving from one of the frames to the other frame, and you can see it feels like motion, right? I'm moving from one frame to the other frame pretty quickly. If I click it, it moves pretty quickly to the other frame. It shows me the other frame. So this is the first frame, and when I click it, it immediately shows me the other frame, and then the other frame, and then the other frame, and then the other frame. So motion, the science of motion is that, right? If frames change very, very quickly or quickly enough, it gives you an illusion that something is actually moving in real life. Like if I switch frames quickly enough, I can give off the illusion that something is actually, moving. So you can see this is me clicking it very, very quickly. You can see now it's no longer doing like it's kind of switching. It's now doing like it's actually moving, right? Because I'm clicking it really fast.
Your head is covering the frame.
Sorry?
But your head is covering the frame. Can't see it properly.
Oh, let me change my sharing pattern. I think okay, yeah, this is what I need to share. Can you see it better now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so when I click this, I click pretty quickly, it now gives off the illusion that this is actually moving, as opposed to clicking it slow and it's doing like it's changing. Okay, I think to make this even more, let me change the color of the let me change the colors of this thing. Let me make it this one like this, then this one like this, and then this one much darker than that, right? So that if I'm moving from this frame to this frame, you can see the change, and then if I move it really fast, right? Okay, I think that the color change is too sharp. That it actually feels like the color is not like. But the point is, like, if the transition is smooth enough, it will give you an illusion that something is actually, change is actually moving in real life, and that's what motion is. Like motion is like plenty pictures, right? If you notice, there was the videos used to be called motion pictures because it's literally, even now in cinema, the way they do the way they release cinema is they snap thousands of pictures, right, of different levels of motion. Like if somebody is trying to wave their hand like this, okay, you cannot see me anymore. If somebody is trying to wave their hand, like the picture will kind of grab different stages of that hand wave motion, so that when they stitch those pictures together and play it really fast, it will give off the illusion that the person is actually moving their hand. So what you see as videos is actually hundreds of thousands of still pictures that are stitched together and played really fast. That's what a video really is, you know. And that's actually the technology that is still used in making videos today. Even AI, the recent AI technologies that are used to do videos now, like these video making AIs, what they actually do is, you know, make plenty pictures of AI generated pictures and then stitch them together to make, you know, that their 1 minute video or whatnot. So that's kind of what Notion is. So with that in mind, let's, you know, try to go to the concept of actually, you know, what's designing motion in on Figma. Right. So if I want to design this to make it look like this, okay, first of all, I'm going to do something. I'm going to make them two different frames, two separate frames, right? Okay, sorry, I'm going to do something even more absurd. I'm going to so this thing could be one, this one, one. I'm going to name this ellipse. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, here, to kind of show that this thing is so much different. And then I'm going to, let's try to connect it first and see what it looks like, right? So if you connect this one to this one, next, sorry, prototype, so if you play that prototype again, it's going to look like this, right? So this would be on quick. All right. So when I click this, it navigates to this other frame, and you can see the movement is very sharp because it's instant, right? However, what I can do is to do like a smart animate. Smart animate will kind of reduce will automatically it will use like let me even call it AI to put like different um, um, stages between this motion and that other motion, right? So that if I do this now, it's kind of, you know, if you notice, like there was never a time when this ball was in the middle, right? We just had one frame and the other frame. There was never a time we had a ball in the middle. But all of a sudden, when we press this, we are seeing a frame where there was a ball in the middle, you know, which doesn't make sense. Like if you think about it logically, it doesn't make sense because we never had a frame where this ball was here. But Smart Animate kind of automatically uses like artificial intelligence to bridge that gap between this point and this point and puts other frames in between them so that it can look like that actually happened. Now let me try something. I believe it's going to break this our Smart Animate thing. But let me try it and see if it actually works. You can see what happened now, right? You see what happened now? Like how this is so different from, let me prototype it back so that I can always be switching from one to the other without having to okay, back. So you can see how this is different from the first one we saw, right? Can anyone tell me what changed? Can anyone tell me what changed? So we still
I think
use,
it's
okay.
yeah, I think it's kind of left gradually and have a kind of disappearing effect to. So the transition kind of happened in a way that it's the initial stage, it's left, and then it wasn't too sharp and instant kind of. That's what I noticed. And then it's gradually see this a fading off and then moving to the next phase.
Yeah. But remember that the last time we did it, it didn't fade off. It did like
it's just like it's moved initially. Like transition was smooth and then but this time around, like it's doing African magic.
Yeah, so what happened? What happened? Why is it doing this? Can anyone explain why it did this?
Maybe because the object, the shape, they are not. Maybe because you renamed it.
I renamed it. That's what happened. So when immediately I renamed it, they became two different objects. So this object is no longer this object. This object is now ellipse 1 and this one is ellipse 2. However, if I name it back to ellipse 1, they become the same object. So the AI recognizes them as it is the same object. So before, it was an object came here and then another object came here. So this one disappeared and, if I'm trying to say, so what happened between this frame and this frame is an object disappearing and then another object appearing because they are two different objects, right? Because this one was named ellipse 1 and this one was named ellipse 2 at that time. So if this frame went from this frame to this frame, the connection is not that ellipse 1 moved from here to here. The connection is that ellipse 1 disappeared and ellipse 2 appeared. That's why it was like that. But now I've renamed it again, let's see how you see. I've renamed it again and then the AI is now recognizing, okay, it's the same object ellipse 1 moving from here to here. I want you guys to take note of this when you are going to do your designs. Your object, it's best if the objects are named the same, right? So this is why some people's motion or should I say motion design comes off as a bit breaky, like it kind of breaks because the object is basically different objects, and because it's different objects, it cannot the computer cannot kind of understand it as one object moving from one point to another. It understands it as one object disappearing and then another object appearing. So it the movement kind of becomes very mechanical. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, so there are other things you can do. Let's say with motion design, you can, for instance, change colors. Designs can, the transition can be a transition of change of color. So here we have something looking like this, for instance. So change color. Like it goes from smoothly transition. Even though the color is still the same object, right? It smoothly transitions from red to blue and smoothly transitions from middle to top right? And another thing we can do is, for instance, change the size of this thing. So we can change the size, like this, and then it's going to transition again from small to large, color, position, all of that, right? Another thing we can do here, for instance, is to change the effect. Let's say put a blur, a layer blur effect, for instance, and then we will have something looking like, going from sharp to blur to different color, to basically everything changing, right? What else can we try? Okay, we can actually, because it's the same object, we can actually try to create another one, make it change position from here Sorry. Here, let's say trying to do something like a sunset kind of thing. And then maybe the blur increases. Let's make it more blurry. That's too much. Okay, not really. It's not terrible. And then we change it to yellow. Okay. So let's see how that affects our motion. Okay, sorry, I've not connected this one. Prototype, connect this to this, and then not on drag. I think I'll change it to this one, and then from this one back to that one. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Don't worry. This other prototyping, this thing sometimes kind of, it can be crazy, because like you can see it's misbehaving here now. It can be crazy. Like it's just like a quick prototype. It's not the best way to prototype your thing anyway. So if, for instance, we actually want to prototype real, full prototyping, we can go to the real prototyping. But this will take time. That's why we normally just use the on-screen prototyping because it's faster. Right?
And please, I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so why did you connect the first frame to the last frame? I thought it was going to be from first to second, then second to third.
I connected I connected this one to this one. See,
okay.
First from first to second, from second to third, and then from third to first.
Okay.
Make it a
Thank
circle,
you.
yeah. So kind of perpetual motion, yeah. Let's see this one.
Okay.
Now this one is going to be much smoother, right? You're not going to have that block. See this. Right. Okay. So this is the basic. Now we can use this idea in making buttons, right? Okay. So before we even get there, now we connected frames. Yeah, we connected frames, and which is fine. Okay. We said click. When we click, it does that. Okay, which is great. But there are other things. We can also connect the things inside the frame, right? Say there's a way we want the object to behave when when the object itself is interacted with. Yeah. So let's say for that, for instance, we can say if this object something happens to it, then it changes to this frame, right? Let's say on click, or let's say on hover, because we don't click already. Okay, not on click actually. The click we did is for the frame. Like say, if someone clicks on the frame, it moves like that. But if someone clicks on this object, how do you want it to behave? Or let's say hovering, right? You can say while hovering, like while the mouse is hovering around it, we want it to change to this frame. Now, what do we want it to do? Let's say maybe we want it to become darker or something, right? We want it to become darker. Let's say 50 shades darker, something like that. So let's see what our this thing becomes, right? So of course, naturally, when we click on the frame, it still behaves this way. But then on this one, when we hover around it, you see it becomes darker. And it's also smart animate because we use smart animate. So it's going to do, if you want to see how sharp that difference is, you can remove smart animate. Let's say try something like instance. So you can see how, see this is instant now. This one is now instant, right? But this one is still smart animate, this instant. Right. Okay, what else can we do? Oh, meanwhile, like okay, so remember all these objects are named ellipse one, right? So they're all the same object anyway. So instead of, let's say, while hovering, let's use click, because I actually want to on click, so that it's more constant, right? So on click, it has become this, right? Now I can still make it go do all the rounds, you know, by you get. So on click it becomes this, and then I click out here, it still goes on to do all the other ones, right? Again, because the objects are named the same. Now this one I can decide on this object, for instance, maybe when someone clicks on it or clicks on it, it also becomes darker. So let me have this one. Let me make a distinct for it as well. So this object, when someone clicks on it, yeah, want it to get darker. When someone clicks on that object, instance. Okay, let's do smart animate or dissolve, so you can see what dissolving looks like. Yeah, I think there are things you guys can play around with. So we've done this, and already I can click on this, and it becomes darker, and then right. So that's basically is the basics. Is there another thing we need to go through before we start, doing real things? Okay. One thing let's go through a couple of things around designing how things move, right? So here is asking you, what is the trigger? This is like the trigger. Like, what do you want to trigger the motion, right? Or to trigger the transition, right? So you can, none means that, okay, this does not, there is no transition here, like there is no anything. If I click none now, this thing here, should disappear, but I want something to happen here. So I can do on drag. On drag means if you hold it and pull it, it's like if you click and drag it, something happens. While hovering means like when the mouse is above it, something happens. While pressing means is while you are pressing, I think that one, like while you are clicking on it, at the time when you are clicking on it, that thing happens. But if you stop clicking, so let's try that while pressing, so I can. But the while pressing transitions here, does it come back? Should it come back? Let's see. So I click here, it goes there, and then while pressing, okay, so it doesn't come back. But typically the while, let me show you how that while pressing typically works. Like, it's because we already connected this one, like this one already has its own fate and all of that. Let's try this while pressing again. Let's see, let's try it again. Let's start. Let's take it up there. Okay, not that. Click. And then while pressing, it becomes this. Okay, but we've already done when clicked, so it's not going to work like that. This one has plenty. Okay, while pressing, it becomes this, and then it's just going to transition because it already has like other things to do, like other transitions to make. Okay, so we're just going to try that. We're just going to bring this one out, like bring it out of the card, and then try that while hovering, while pressing. And I think it's much easier. Okay, first of all, in order for me to, if I want to remove all the interactions, instead of removing that one by one, I can right click here and remove all interactions, so I can start afresh. So here I can say prototype, while pressing, go here. So while pressing, go there. I'll make this the start of our prototype now. I'll make it the flow start so that when I play, so that means that when I hold this down, it changes, and then when I release it, it goes back. When I hold it down, it changes. When I release it, it goes back. That's what the while pressing means. Right. So what other kind of interactions do we have? We have gamekeeper. Gamekeeper means like you can select which keypad that you want to trigger. That you want to trigger that event. This typically, I use this typically when I have like a lot of, let's say when I want to prototype things like notification, right? And then I want to prototype notification in different circumstances. Say I want to prototype a situation where something doesn't go right, or where a user presses a button, let's say a button, and then keys, like let's say presses K and then all responses from K appear, right? I want to kind of demonstrate that kind of event. That's when I use key gamepad. So here, when you press it, it's going to ask you which key you want to press, and then you can select, you can type that key. For me, it's uppercase letter R. Sorry. It's a key gamepad. So let me just write R, right? So when I write R, I expect this to change, right? So let's test that. So if I press R, it changes, right? So it's just the same thing. Another thing, other ways you can other triggers would be mouse enter, like once your mouse enters a certain area, something happens. I think this would be nice, like when you are prototyping something like a web, a landing page, and then you want a situation where when the mouse enters a certain frame, something changes, like maybe something moves around in that frame, you know, or when the mouse leaves, something else happens, right? When the mouse goes down or goes up, and then after delay is like automatic. Like if you want something to happen automatically without anyone pressing anything, you use the after delay. So after delay now it's going to ask you like how many seconds. This is milliseconds, right? So 800 milliseconds is like an eighth of a second. An eighth of a second. So 8 seconds will actually be 8,000 milliseconds. Like 8,000 milliseconds is like 8 seconds. But 800 is an eighth of a second. 1 second is 1,000 milliseconds, right? 1,000 milliseconds. So let's say we want it to, after delay of 1,000 milliseconds, it changes, right? And then, or you know how I actually like doing this thing is like when it clicks, it changes to this one, and then after delay, it changes back. Let's do it after delay of 800 milliseconds, it changes back. Let's see. So I click this, it changes to this, and then after the delay, it comes back. Right, so that's how that one happens. And then there are different kinds of motion, right? So motion can take a different, so let's see, motion can take different shapes, right? So we've looked at instance, you know what it looks like, that's, you know, very mechanical. We've looked at, of course, mechanical, but there are situations when you would want something to change instantly, as opposed to changing as a smart animation, you know. There are situations, I think you would figure out, you know, when you are going, maybe when you want to switch from one page to another page on a web page, you know, instantly makes more sense a lot of times, as opposed to using a smart animation. or even using a move in or move out or whatnot. Move in, move out, I prefer using that when I'm dealing with like web app. No, not web apps, actually, apps like mobile apps. So that it shows that you can see, it gives the user an idea of how to swipe when they want to go back to the region or where they were coming from. So if for instance the page moves in from right to left, the user now understands that if they want to go back to the page that they were before, they can swipe from left to right to go back to the page that they were in before. So that's how to use smart animation and motion. But in some situations, in fact, in most situations, instant is, makes more sense, especially when you are designing, a website, right? So we'll see what move in, move out looks like. You see it right now. Let's use move in. So when you click move in, it shows you in what direction do you want it to move in. Do you want it to move in from right to left, or from left to right, or from down up to down, or from down to top, right? So let's try this. So when you click now, you can see the moving. It moves. In order for you to see this more, maybe you should change the color so that you can see the pages moving in. Right. So yeah. So moving in, you can see the moving in. This is basically how moving in happens. Then the moving in also even has like an additional setting where you can say moving, but smart animates matching layers. Now matching layers, as you can tell, like are layers that are named the same. I don't know if let's see how that work here, because we have. So you see how it happened, right? So it kind of moves in, but you're smart animating matching layers, right? Now, but that kind of looks different. Like when you do that for, like, let's say an app that has different layers, like a top layer, middle layer. I think hopefully we are going to go through it so you guys see what it looks like when you do that smart animating matching layers for things like an app. You will see how it looks like. It actually looks a lot better, when you smart animate matching layers for an app. So another thing we can look at here. Okay, so don't move in, move out is pretty much the same thing, just like, you can test that out on your own, but it's pretty much the same thing. Now push is like he's now pushing it out. So he's not moving on top of it. It's like he's pushing it out of the way and replacing it. But it's pretty much the same way, like it feels the same. Sliding is also the same. You can test it out and see how that happens. Just play around with all these. Just play around with it and understand how it works. Now there are other more advanced settings, but we're going to talk about them maybe not in this class, maybe in other classes. But it's now be in prototyping class. This class is basically for motion design. But motion design is kind of a part of prototyping anyway. But in some of these settings, we're going to talk about them in more detail in the prototyping class. Now let's look at how these things look like when you're designing the button. I think I would just quickly use the buttons I've already designed, so that I don't start doing small work all over again. Now these buttons have already been designed, right? And I can say, let's say, okay, this is my primary button, this is secondary button, that's the tertiary button, and whatnot. This is the inactive. So the primary buttons, like, sometimes you want to design something so that, when somebody is interacting with it, it shows the kind of, it makes sense that when people are moving around the website, like when they hover around buttons, click buttons, like it gives them a reaction, right? If you look into an abyss should look back at you, right? If you touch something, the thing should touch you back. It should give you an impression that you clicked something. It improves user experience. That when I click a button, I get a reaction from that button. I'll give you an example right now. Like let me give you an example. So this button now, I'm just going to place it there, and then I'm going to just say, right? Right. Okay. So I'm going to say, I'm going to make these 2 frames, yeah, and then I'm going to say if someone, when someone clicks on this other frame, let's or when someone clicks on this button, it moves to this frame, and this frame, I'm not going to delete this button right here, and then make this frame like just like another page, like say I don't know, change the color or something. Or should I just, okay, you know what? Let me just make it so that when someone clicks the button, the color of the background just changes, right? So it changes to red or something. Yeah. So we're going to animate that, prototype that, and see how that works. So when they click this button, it's supposed to kind of navigate to this and not slide out. Let's just make it like a smart animate so that it's going to look smooth. Let's see what that looks like. Right. So if I click out, it's telling me where to push. So if I push this button, you can see thing changes. And you can see that, let me do it like, let me do it back so that I can go front and back. So when I push this button, it changes. When I push this button, it changes. But notice that this button is not giving me a sign that I actually pushed it, right? So it's just there, just static, stagnant. It's not reactive. So I'm pushing a button, but I don't feel like it's a button. It's not behaving like a button. And because of that, it just feels dead. It just feels like I'm pushing on, and if it's a phone, it feels like you're pushing on a hard screen. You know, like if you notice in some apps, right, when you push a button, it gives the reaction it gives you are plenty. It gives you a visual reaction that the button changes color, so you kind of feel that you push something, that you change something. Apart from that, it gives you like a tactile, you know, color, like the phone vibrates, you know, to show you that you've actually you've changed something in the world, you know. And sometimes it even gives off a sound to show you like keep, to show you that something is like you're actually, you know, changing something. And that reaction that you get off, you know, that movement, it improves your experience. It makes it feel more like you are interacting with something real, you know, as opposed to pushing on a screen. Like this right now, it feels like pushing on a screen. It feels so dead, you know. Especially if I even make it worse and make that transition. If I make that transition even, you know, instant now, like if I make it instead of smart animate, make it instant, you just feel it more that this thing is looking like just looking dead, right? And it's not something you ever want. Let's see instant what it looks like. You know, you push this button and it instantly just changes, it just feels dead, right? In order to improve this experience, you might actually want to change a couple of things. Now, when we talk about frames, right? Remember that this is a frame, but this button is also a frame on its own. This button also is a frame. And that frame, we can also, you know, look at that button as a small frame moving from one frame to another frame to another frame to another frame. Now we've designed different frames, and these frames are actually, you know, similarly named, but we've named this one an active stage, hover, crest, and button. But the things inside, you know, are similarly named. You know, we know they are similarly named because if I select one, all of them select. If I select this one, all of them select. So you can know that they are similarly named things, right? So this frame now, if I connect it to this other frame, let's say connecting it and say, okay, when I hover, when I hover, I want it to change to this, or while hovering, change to this, right? And then if I press, change to this, on click, change to this. But you see that there will also be a column. Maybe I'm certain there will be a column. Let's look at it. So while hovering, okay, you see on click, nothing, that click didn't happen. Can anyone explain why? Like see the command I gave, right? I said while hovering, change to this, right? But on click, change to this dark one, right? Now, can someone explain why while hovering it changes to the, but on click it doesn't change to that dark one? Can someone explain why this happens?
So I
I'm
think
guessing
because okay. Can I go ahead?
okay, I'm guessing because you didn't connect. I'm guessing because you didn't connect the second button while hovering to the third one.
Right. So I should have connected. So what I should have connected is the second one. Why? Why should I connect the second one instead of the first one? Why should I have connected the second one instead of the first one? Well, that's because, you know, once I've hovered, it changes to this. While hovering, it changes to this. So this button is no longer this one. This is a different frame altogether. We're in a different frame. You know, this button is one frame. This button is another frame, and we've not given this frame any command, right? Of what to do if anything happens. So, but as long as we're hovering on this frame, it becomes this frame. And this frame, what happens now? Like, we've not given it any command of what happens if we click it or push it or do whatever. So that's why when we're doing that, we actually have to, because we've said when hovering, it becomes this, then this one is the one you push to become this. So this push, I guess it shouldn't be here. It should be here, because before we even push it, we have to hover, right? So hovering and then pushing. So when we push it, we want it to become this. And I would say not even on click, I would rather say while pressing. At least that's the way I prefer it. While pressing, it becomes this. The reason is at the time it's pressing, is when you kind of want it to go that. Otherwise, if you say on click, it becomes this. Okay, you know, let me do the two so you can see the difference. Let me change it
It's
from.
breaking. I don't know if it's my network, but it seems like it's.
Can everyone hear me?
It's
Yes, I
better
can,
to
sir.
my hand.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
All right. So let me do it on click. Yeah. And you see the difference. So now on click. So on hovering, on click, you can see nothing. You didn't see anything. Can anyone tell me why? Can anyone tell me why this on click didn't change to this still? So I hover, but on click, boom, this thing didn't change still. What happened? The person that advised me to connect this one to this one instead, can you explain why I didn't see the fruit of my labor? I've done this, I've clicked and nothing. Can someone explain why I didn't see the fruit of my labor?
Maybe because the first one is still not connected to the third one.
Okay, let's connect the first one to the third one. You know, see, we've connected it. What do you want us to name it? On click, right? Good. So the first one is now connected to the third one. Still nothing. My button doesn't show dark. Why? Any ideas? Right. So see what happens, right? When I push this button, it's automatically, because the command I gave is that when I push this button, it should change to this. Yeah. So when I push this button, it changes to this. And the reason I'm still seeing this white is because I'm still hovering around this. So when I hover, it will still show this one, right? So, but it has changed to this. Now, if I want this thing to show, what the command I should give here is not on click, but while pressing. so that it's going to show at the point when I'm pressing it, as opposed to while pressing. So let's try while pressing now. So while pressing, it becomes dark. So it's at the point when you are pressing that it becomes dark. So now hovering, while pressing, it now becomes dark, and then when I release it, it goes here. Do you understand? And then while pressing dark, when I release it, it goes here. So not that this movement has become a lot more natural. It now feels like, okay, I'm moving something. Like this button is actually more animated, more, the user experience is better, really, you know, because it feels better when you are pressing the button and then you feel that button moving, you feel that button changing, you feel that button feeling like it's moving, right? And there are a lot of ways you can put that in a button. Visually works very well, but sometimes some applications go beyond doing it visually. They do it visually, they do it with audio, you know, to add a sound when that button is pushed. Some even go ahead to, on a handheld device like a mobile phone, they'll put a vibration, like they use the vibration, whatever, so that when you push the button, the phone would vibrate a bit to make you feel like, you know, you've actually pressed something that feels like a button. So that kind of improves the experience of clicking a button. And if you've noticed, like, it may feel like just a button to you, but if it's something that, I mean, it improves the user experience by a lot, you know, when that button behaves like a real life button, you know, with all the nuances of a real life button of like, you know, going in. Okay, by the way, can anyone explain to me why I chose this color? Can anyone explain to me why I chose this color for push? Like when it's pushed, it becomes this color. Can anyone explain? Now this is like thinking like an artist now, right? Why did I make it such that, yeah, when you push the button, it becomes darker, as opposed to the other way around, when you push it, it becomes lighter? Can anyone explain why dark instead of, you know, do you understand what I'm saying? Like the command I gave is going from, so when it's pushed, when this button is pushed, it becomes darker. When I push this button, it becomes darker. Can everyone explain why I made it dark? I use that, I made it to become darker when you push, as opposed to any other thing.
So that it can be obvious. The changes can be obvious.
Yeah, but why dark? Why did I make it dark? You know, when you push, it becomes dark. Why didn't I make it a dark button? When you push, it becomes light? Do you understand? I could have made it the other way around, right? That this button is light, but when you, or this one is dark, but when you push it, it becomes light. In fact, let's do it right away. You know, let's do it right away. Let's do it right away. Sorry. Let's do it right. So you guys can compare and then tell me if you think it's
Well, maybe because dark looks active.
because what?
The dark looks active, unlike the faded that might look.
No, this is
Just
the active
thinking.
state. Yeah, but this one is the active state. They are all active buttons. This one is inactive. Some buttons are dark actually, but are dark like this. But even buttons that are dark like this, if I'm designing a pressed version of it, I'll make it even darker. Do you understand? I'm not going to make a button when you press it, it becomes bright. I'm not going to design that. Do you understand why? Because we are working with visual perception, right? So things that look darker feel like they're deeper. If you look at it, feels like a shadow is on top of it. So it means like it's in the ground. Do you understand? Like if I, let me design this in such a way that when it's pressed now, it becomes bright, so that you can understand, you can see why it looks weird. It just looks weird. So this one now, do it again. When pressed, oh sorry, let me even use that one. When pressed, it becomes this. This. So this one now, I'm doing it that while pressing, it becomes this. It just feels weird. Like even if it works, it just feels weird that if I press something dark, it becomes bright. It just feels weird. And it's just maybe not something that you take a lot of notice of, but you know, it breaks reality. Because in reality, when you push something that is bright, you are pushing it into the ground. And if you are pushing it into the ground, there is going to be shadow on top of it and it becomes darker. You know, that's just how real life works. You get so this kind of breaks reality. You know, this breaks reality. But at least that's my opinion. Like, I mean, you don't have to design like me, but it's just my opinion. Right, let me undo this. Right. Okay, so now we kind of have a button here, and then we also have an inactive stage, which are not going to, use in some circumstances, but not in this one. Now, I wanted us to kind of assemble something that looks like a mobile app from all these small parts and connect all of them together. Now, that our mobile app is going to have like a navigation bar. Okay, let's even start, from design and a frame. Choose a frame. Let's say an iPhone 14. Sorry, sorry, give me a second. I don't want to design all these things all over again. So I'm just going to use the design that I already did, even though I can still stretch it anyway. Listen. 75 is what? 75 is an iPhone 13 mini. Let me just use it because it's one I already designed for it. Right. So so like every app, most apps is going to have like a home. Sorry, it's going to have like a menu, and like the menu on mobile apps is typically at the bottom. It's not like when you're designing for a web, that is a bit different, right? So we have that there, and it has siblings, that changes, and one thing is such a way that maybe when you hover, it kind of shows a bit of this, and then okay, it cannot hover. It cannot hover on the mobile app. So, well, what we're going to do is like press, right? So when you press, it changes, right? It changes to the other one. Now there are a couple of ways to do that. Yeah. So typically, when you have a mobile app, when you press these groups, it's not going to remain on the same frame. Okay, you know what? Let us populate it a bit, and the frames are going to look different anyway. Okay. So this is this thing for groups, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this one default to sorry. Home groups, right? And then so this one is going to be ready, and then this one is going to be alerts, notifications, and then this one is going to be right. Okay, so I think the way we can connect this is very simple. Making it like when we click on this, it becomes this. But then but then you just look at what the noodle is going to look like, and it's going to give you an idea of why I make the decisions I make. Now, okay, actually, these guys have Figma has made this a lot easier. You notice that because these things, of course, they are similar. They are similar items, right? It's similarly named menu bar. All of them are menu bar. When I click one, all of them will click, and then when I click the group, all of them are selected. So it makes it easier. It wasn't always like this. And if I want to, let's say, change anything here, okay, let's say for this one now, I can name this frame home, and then I can name this frame groups. Then name this frame ready. Name this one alerts. And name this one cards, yeah. Right. So yeah. So when I click on home, I want, even if I was here and then I click on home, I want it to come back to this frame, right? So yeah, in the last, I think I introduced you guys to these updates that Figma did, that you can now edit a lot of things at the same time. So it makes it a lot easier. It wasn't always this easy. So a lot of what we used to do is that we had to do this one by one. But now you can just click here. You selected matching layers, and then if you pick up this noodle, all of them picks. You see, like all of them will pick, and then I can push it to home, right? Of course, you can see that this one really didn't push because you cannot click on yourself and go to yourself, right? But all the other, screens like the home will lead to this home. It kind of is a game changer. It's a game changer. I don't even know, like it really made a lot of things easy. But at the end of the day, it's still this, right? It's still having a lot of movement, right? And if by the time you do it for all the smaller distance now, right? By the time you do all the smaller ones, you see that everyone will start to look dirty. You see that everyone will start to look dirty. Cards. And then cards.
Jason, your jacket is not here.
Okay, it's actually looking decent. It looks like a lot more complex, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's try to prototype this and see what it looks like. Let's put a full starting point here. Prototype it. It's more like okay, so let's try it out, right? So when I click on groups, it moves to groups. When I click here, it moves to here. It moves to here. Of course, like it's hard to really see the difference. So maybe I should make the frames different colors, yeah, to show the difference. And make this one make this one yellow. That should be. Let's leave it as white. Ready. Let's make ready. All right. Back to this. So like we continue, look back to this. Here, ready, alert, and cats. That's actually. I mean, there was something I wanted to demonstrate, but demonstrate why I did.
I'm outside.
But someone should use themselves. Who is that? Is it my or what? Right. So so that's it, right? So I wanted to explain why I did this, but I think that explanation is no longer going to be in strength because in fact it actually still in strength because every other time, you know, I move this bar around, I want to know that, you know, what this bar, you know. Okay, let's see here. Okay, it's still going to be the same thing. But so the reason I did this way is because I actually did all these things here and then I moved it up, right? So that whenever I pick out one of this, it kind of carries that, it carries all that prototyping inbuilt in it, right? So like home, I mean, this is a lot. I mean, it would have saved me a lot more time. It would have saved me a lot more time if I did it with the new Figma update. So this groups is here, and ready. Sorry, ready. Sorry. Ready is this. And then alert.
Brian, please, I'm a bit lost.
Okay, sorry. Where are you lost at?
I don't get why you're dragging
Why I'm doing this?
the prototype. Why you're doing it within the yeah.
Okay, I will explain. So it's just the same thing I did outside here, right? But the reason I'm doing it inside here is so that I can take out this, yeah. And when I take it out anywhere, remember that it remembers. It becomes is a daughter of base, so it remembers. And so okay, let me show you. Let me prototype this. I think I can prototype this right now. I can prototype. The truth is that, I mean, you're actually right. I mean, it wouldn't really matter anyway, honestly, you know, because I'll still have to, either way, I'll still have to connect the frames to themselves. But there used to be a time when it mattered, you know, now it doesn't matter anymore. Now it doesn't matter anymore. Don't mind me. So it still is, right? The only reason I can do this like this is because I wired it that way, right here. But then again, honestly, it really doesn't change anything at the end of the day because I'll still have to move from home to groups to actual pages. And I think I mean, either way, I would have had to do this anyway. Yeah, I would have had to do this. So yeah, just forget what I just did. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There used to be a time when it mattered. Now it's like it doesn't matter anymore. Right. So okay. So now we have like our menu bar, and you can use that menu bar to get to other different places. Another thing I designed in this app is that it's supposed to have, okay, typically every app is supposed to have like that. I hope I have it here, but I hope I'm not. I won't have to steal from somewhere. Okay, it's here. So every app will have this, and it kind of comes with a device, you know. So this device is like an iPhone, and this is kind of what they would typically look like, yeah. So if these things are still named together now, yeah, I would have done it all the same. I'll drag it into here. So it doesn't really fit, and then I'm going to push it in. That's why responsiveness is important, right? Sorry, my network, not my network actually, my device is a bit slow. So it's not that much. So I have to add this to all our right. Okay. So what now we have like all the screens. So for the home, what this app looks like is that okay, let me introduce you to the app. This is an app that I use as my pet project. It's nothing serious for now. Although it's something, you know, I'm kind of fantasizing about dealing with a couple of friends when I have all the time in the world. Um, 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 it's supposed to, okay, I mean, the barriers to building something like this is on the service side actually, because you know apps don't exist on their own. They have to exist on a service, you know, behind it. So the service side is actually what I'm working on, but I'm working on it low key because honestly I have my hands full. And it actually would take a lot of work, and it's something that the business side is a bit sketchy because you would have to start big. Is a go big or go home kind of business model, and you can imagine why it will not really succeed, because anything that doesn't make it easy to start, that makes it so that you have to start big or go home, really is not a great business model. So I just use it as a pet project, to kind of test my designing skills and improve on my designing skills and all that. So this is like my pet project. So what the app is like, call it a social media for food, right? So you know how we come to Twitter and you tweet away, go to Facebook and then you interact with people. Here is like food, right? So is imagining a world where everyone can cook and share food with other people and charge money for the food. So let's say you are living in Lagos now and you want to cook, you want to make it your full-time job to be a cook, right? And maybe not full-time job, but a side hustle to be a cook. So that when you cook, you're not only cooking for yourself, but you're cooking for your neighbors and all of that. Like you cook, for your neighbors and all of that. And make it in such a way that you'll be able to find people around who are interested in the kind of food you cook. And not only that, people around will also be able to influence the food you cook. So if, for instance, you come online and say, hey, I want to cook jollof rice with chicken, and then someone says, oh, that sounds like a good idea, and then you get up to like 20 people who believe that that's a good idea, they are going to now send you some money for you to do that cooking, so that when you finish that cooking, you send them their own portions. That's kind of what the idea was, like social media for food. right? And in order to do that, each person, apart from having like their own accounts and all of that, like the same way you have Twitter and all of that, they will be able to share, the food they are cooking, and then people will be able to basically, if they want to subscribe to the food, they can just add it to their cart and whatnot. And then people can also form food groups, right? So that every Saturday they will be sharing maybe Upobi or Ishewu, or they maybe even killing cows for themselves, right? That's kind of the idea of the app anyway. Now, in order to design an app like this, right? Sorry, let me close this. It's becoming distracting. In order to design an app like this, you want something like an infinite scroll. The kind of thing Twitter has, where you keep scrolling, or Instagram just keep scrolling. It just feels like the scroll never ends, right? So that's something that would kind of want to design into this app, right? Right. So in order to start it, as you can tell, like you have plenty people and all of that. I don't want to be designing cards every other time. So I've designed automated a card so that I can make more cards out of this. In fact, what I'm about to do now has become stale in Figma, or is about to become stale in Figma, because now in Figma, I can make multiple cards and then basically generate different content for the cards, right? Automatically using AI. That's the last updates that they made. I can generate basically these different things now, like instead of Brian. So now here, for instance, I want to put Gabriel, right? And that's that person's name. And then instead of seafood jollof, I want to have Nkwobi, right? And then great part of maybe have blah 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 whatever, as the description. And then for this one, they can also change the basically change the picture now, like everything changes basically. You can also change things like the rating. Synopsis, rating. I think that changed the rating here. You get, so that I have different cards, yeah. So that's every time I'm not designing a card from the scratch. So here maybe I will like change the the image and all of that. Like I have like a collection of all the food images. Let me just use a random picture, and then here I'll also change. Did I have? I think I actually had like a collection of these pictures, right? I did. I had like a collection of different people's pictures. Yeah. So you can just that's how you kind of generate a lot of these things at once. So this is a card. This one is another card, and some of the cards don't even have pictures at all, right? Some of the cards are just people making posts without pictures. So those cards, for instance, are not going to have home card. Okay, enter. Okay, I think something broke here, because I should be able to have a card that doesn't have picture. Food. Okay, home card. I've forgotten how I even designed this thing, how I implemented it. I've forgotten how I implemented it, but I should be able to have cards that don't have pictures in them. Okay, I think that's this one. I think this is the one I implemented like that. Seafood. Where is the picture on this one? Okay, no, that's not that one. Is this one? This one here, this one. Let me take. That's the correct. All right, great. So this one is either a vendor. If they're a vendor, then they would have a picture. I think this is a picture card right here. I can fill it in with the picture. I can fill it in with a picture. Yeah, that's it. So I'm just kind of resurrecting something. So it kind of taken right. So yeah, so here I can even, okay, yeah, this is the fully automated card. So here I can even insert picture, remove picture. So here there doesn't have picture. Here I can remove the vendor tag. Yeah, in fact, I can even make it like not a vendor, in which case it's not showing seafood jollof, like, and it's not showing routine and other things that are attributed to vendors. So basically, that's kind of the idea, right? This one is the ultimate card. So let's remove this one. Okay, this one is a card for a different purpose. Yeah, this one is a card for a different purpose, actually. So if this is, let's say, vendor, vendor, picture, time posted. Anyway, it's a card for a different purpose. So I'm just going to put all of them together in the timeline. So the timeline is made up of different, people advertising different things and all of that. And going to kind of show you how that kind of would work in real life. So the process of randomizing, these things today has become easier. They've not released the version, they have not released it yet, but in a few months, they are going to release that version. And everything, like if I'm starting to teach you this thing, like it's become useless. So there are ways to randomize it. It's going to be available in a couple of months, in a couple of weeks, in fact, already, because they're going to release it to use AI to randomize these texts inside here. So you don't have to do it manually now. Right. So once I have had all these things together, what I'm going to do is to put it on auto layout. They come in a frame like that, and then I squeeze it into here. Right. That's kind of what I did here. So I have like a home timeline. I already did that kind of to shorten the process. I have like a home timeline. And if you're wondering why it's shorter, sorry, because that had a lot of information, so it's stalling. So if you're wondering why it's shorter, it's because like I made the frame like this frame now. I fixed the frame height, right? Here is 554, 574. So instead of cog, I did fixed height 574, right? You can see, and then I clicked the content. So that's kind of what happened here. So so I just take this and I put it on the home timeline. So apart from that, the other thing that happened here is that there are other features, and I'm going to show you in a bit. All right. So the other features here is that it can, so one should be able to search, right? So you should be able to search, search the app and then see basically what you want to see, right? So for instance, for that reason, I'm going to, and apart from that, there is also, okay, you should also be able to filter, yeah? So this is the filter, filtering the feed you're seeing. So here, for instance, you can see all, you can see delivery, you can see this, you can see that. And I've designed it in such a way that, when you click all, the feed is different. When you click this, the feed is different. Of course, we're going to talk about that in prototyping more. This is not like the prototyping class. This is more like the motion design class to kind of give you an idea of what the prototyping will typically look like. So let me rewire this thing. Let me rewire it. Okay, prototype should lead to all, and is delivery. Should lead to delivery, and then from should lead to no, pickup should lead to pickup. To all its detail, right? So that when I take right, so this one is supposed to be right under this. This is like the filter. It filters the feed, right? Just like in Twitter, you filter. There are also filtering these things for Twitter. Here, for instance, I'm going to let me put something to demarcate it. Should I make it a shadow? Should I make it a line? I prefer lines. Strokes at the bottom, and then I'm going to make the stroke like a light gray stroke, and then I'm going to reduce it to 0.5 for 0.4. Yeah, that kind of separate it. It's not light enough. I want to make it or like a hint. Like this white, this white. Okay, maybe I should make it 0.2. Right, so this is separated from that, and the next thing that should come up is the search, because I want there to be like a search feature. I think the search should be right before the search should come before this. So this should be lower, and then the search should come here. This come right after the search, right? And I also want a shadow. Make it a shadow. Shadow. Let me make it a stroke. Strokes. I actually should have a system for this, right? And I do have a system for it. I'm just demonstrating. And Abiola is going to take us on Brandon and Victor will take you on design system. Is it design system or style guide, right? So you're supposed to have a style guide. All these things I'm doing, like I'm putting line here, I'm putting this one there. It's not how you should be doing it too, because you should have like a style guide that's like strictly, determines like what should be where and which colors. You can see. In fact, I even have color styles. I actually have a style guide. I'm just not using it now because like this is not a serious work. This is just like it's not a serious it's not serious work. So yeah, the point is that you shouldn't be doing. Oh, by the way, I actually also have like some other motion designed into this. So by the way, this search bar is a child, is a daughter of this. You can see this search bar is a daughter of this. what that means is that how this one behaves is how the search better. This one will behave, right? And I think what I have here is like when you click on this, it becomes, when you click on this, it becomes this one. So kind of gives way for typing and all of that. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So just to have that in mind, and this one also, when you click on search, when you click on filter, the search, on filter, it becomes this kind of, yeah. And then when you clear, it goes back to this. Yeah. I think it's not instant. It should be smart animates. Instant is better because like some things disappeared. So I would actually prefer instant here, and here smart animate to work better. I guess smart animate to work better. Should have taken back and smart animate. All right, so let's see what that is looking like so far. Let's see what it's looking like so far. Meanwhile, let's remove the cloudy green from the background. The white fill. Let's see what it's looking like so far. Where is our prototyping? Okay. What is it looking like so far? Okay, so what it looks like is that go to home, of course, those are all the pages that I've not designed, back to home, and then, okay, I've not designed the scrolling yet, but what we have designed is clicking on this and then this changing, and then clicking on this and then this becoming this, and all of that. And then we've also put some designing here, but it's not meaning anything yet. I think we'll do this in prototyping because it is a sorting, we have to sort, is a sorting something here. So the idea here was that some, like, it's kind of filters the results. So the result that has the delivery, pickup, and table eating, like if it's a restaurant, like you can come to their restaurant and eat, and this is the one for pickup, and this is the one they deliver to you. So kind of filters the results. Now this is not scrolling, and we need it to scroll. So let's design that. Let's design the scrolling motion. I think at this point we can extend this to this point. Yeah, extend it to that point. Yeah. And then here we're going to put it's saying overflow no scrolling, or we should say overflow scroll vertically, right? Scroll vertically. So let's see what happens when you do that. So it's now scrolling vertically. That's it. I thought it was even longer than that. Like, I always don't my time for these shots. For these short scroll. Okay, so that's kind of what the scroll looks like for now. So, so scrolling, and then there are other things you can do. For instance, you can make something to, yeah. Let's say, for instance, you want a situation where this delivery, I think, let me bring this one up a bit more, and then give this one of opportunity to show itself. Oh, okay. Now I understand. Now I understand. Sorry. It's my bad. It's my bad. It's not said about it. It's my bad. I actually forgot what I designed it. Right. So what? Okay. So this is a lot of arrangements. You can see it's arranged in vertically and horizontally, and it's actually arranged based on this. So this is all, and then this one is supposed to be delivery. So the overflow is going to flow. All right. So what I'm going to do is that when I click this, I can't. Okay, let's see if it actually works. That click this and then it switches. Do I have? Okay. Let's see if I can prototype that way. So when I click it, I'd like it to scroll to this one, yeah? And it's going to be like a horizontal scrolling, yeah? And then when I click this, I also want it to scroll to this one, also horizontal scrolling on click. This one also on click. I want it to scroll to this horizontal scrolling. I don't know if it's going to work that way, but let's see. Let's see. It's not going to scroll horizontally. I have to allow it, yeah. I have to give it I have to allow this overflow to scroll both directions. Let's see if that works. Yeah, now it's working. But the problem now, somebody was asking me why I designed this thing, why I was changing it at that point, yeah. Well, this is actually why. So, where is all from? Okay, all should come back here. On click scroll to yes, so that's all delivery. All should come back here. Right. So somebody was asking why I was doing this thing this way. I think now it will be more, because when I click this, I expect it to actually switch. It doesn't look like it's switching. Not white clicking, but when I click it, I want it to switch, change to what instance change to. It needs to change, not just stop there, but also change. Right? So this is not functioning as I want it to function, but that's understandable. Let me play it on the real, because this thing can behave funny. So feet height, okay. Right. Why is it not? This thing should be switching now. Okay. This thing should be like I should, when I click this, it should switch to this as well. Like it should change color. But that is not happening. Let me try to figure out why. Sorry, do you have any questions, by the way? Because I know I'm moving a bit fast, I guess. If you have any questions, you can always ask. If you are lost, you can always click change to this instant. Okay. Now let's see if okay. I think okay. Let me try something else. Actually, right? In the app, I designed it in such a way like I had like four different pages for each of these states. But I basically don't want to do the same thing I did because I feel this is the app's this thing. You notice here on the home page, like I had different states, right? A state for home, a state for delivery, a state for pickup, and a state for table. But I feel that honestly, there is no reason why I shouldn't be able to do it without having but you can see the consequence here is that I'm switching it, and although it should be on the same page, for some reason it's not, it's not switching. And honestly, that doesn't make sense to me because it really should switch. It should switch. But you get what I'm trying to do here anyway. Is anyone confused at this point? Do you guys understand what I'm doing? I'm not hearing any answers. Do you guys understand what I'm doing?
Well, for me, I've been lost a long time ago. I just have plans to go through the video again when it's uploaded because I
All right.
joined the class late. I'll just
Okay.
do the video when it's uploaded.
The people that were here, do you guys understand what is going on? I will explain, yeah. So this frame, yeah, is actually hiding a lot. This frame is hiding a lot. So this frame, if you unclip it, you can see again, the concept of frame is that it shows you what I want you to see. What is hiding behind this frame is that this frame is actually a giant canvas, that has a couple of rows or columns, right, of different, choices or whatever. There are different columns, and these columns are all connected inside this frame, right? It's a large frame, and all these columns are within the frame. They are all connected. And it's fixed. If I unfix, if I say hot contents, you see what it's going to look like. Hot contents here. So it's going to look like having 1, 2, 3, 4, in an auto layout, frame connected. But because I want to use it for this thing where I can scroll, I can press something and then it scrolls to this one and scrolls to this one and scrolls to this one in a smart animate way. Let me show you what that effect is going to look like, by the way. Let me show you the effects, what the effects looks like. Now, this is the completed, like the, actually, the actual app, completed. Let me make this a flow starting point. So let me make the flow starts here. It's taking a while to load. Okay, so it's up now. Right. So this is actually how the app is supposed to look, right? So you're supposed to be able to scroll, and of course, like the way I did it, kind of when you notice something, yeah. When I'm scrolling, this part scrolls and this part remains, right? See, scrolls and this part remains because I kind of want to always be have this thing accessible. You get, but I want to be able to only search when the person gets all the way to the top, and then they can search for whatever. But when you start scrolling, this part stops, and then all the other ones scrolls like right under it. So that is an effect that you can get by using something called sticky at the top, right? So this one, if you notice, position sticky, stop at top edge. Whereas this one, scroll with parent, and this one, scroll with parent. Right. So this one scrolls with parent, this one sticks at the top, and that is why it's behaving the way it's behaving, right? So this one is well designed so that if I press this one, it switches, to, and it can switch like that, because of the way the thing is arranged. Yeah, is that as you've seen, is like is a huge. If I unclip it, let me unclip. Sorry. Oh, okay. I think I didn't even unclip it. I allowed it in home. I clipped it here in home, and then put it under this one. But you can see like when you click this, it kind of it scrolls horizontally, and click this, it scrolls horizontally. Click this, is scrolls horizontally, and that one, scrolls all the way. I think okay, that's it basically. And then this one, of course, there is like a very large app. So this is the home. This is how the home behaves. And of course, it has all the other features like you press this and this goes, clear, it comes back. And then it has like a chef profile. So you can click here, for instance, and then you'll be able to see the profile of the chef. And then you go through, I think this was supposed to be sticky at the top as well. Let me make it sticky at the top, or was there a reason why I didn't do that? This part was supposed to be sticky at the top. Sticky. Yeah, it's sticky at the top, but for some reason it's not sticky. Anyway, so it's supposed to stick at the top now. It's not sticking. Right. Okay. So this one is also the same concept, of scrolling. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. This fresh. Let me click fresh. All right. Okay. So when you're designing motion within a page, right? There are things you can use to control how, for instance, you can design it in such a way that when you click a button, it scrolls down to a certain part of the page. And that's what we use here actually in this one. Let me go back to the home. When you click here, it scrolls, but this now is horizontal scrolling, right? It's the same page, but it's horizontal scrolling. But we can also do it in such a way that you click on something and it scrolls vertically. I think we can see that in maybe let's basically try to design that right here. Let me for instance make this button such that when I click on this button, I don't think the button has anything assigned. Prototype. Let me design this such that when you click here, it scrolls down to. Give me a second. I think I'll have to click it. Click here so that I can, let's say, do this such a way that when I click this button, it scrolls down. Can't do it again. Okay, is it because? Okay, probably because it's probably because it's is in a let me try to detach it from the instance. Let's try it. And I think because it's is an instance of something. So I've done this in such a way that when I click on this button on top, it scrolls all the way down. So let's see if that works. Let's see if that works. So if I click on this button, I expect it to scroll down all the way to the bottom. Let's start with. Scroll multiple part. Smart content. This is not, let's see if it works in see if it needs to work in the full version. What was that again? This is flow number 3. Sometimes not all the designs you do is going to work on this one. This side, quick prototyping doesn't always show everything. So such situations, I'll open the bigger prototyping. See if it works. It still doesn't work. Okay, I guess there's something wrong with that. Okay. Second, this scrolling was forbidden. So scrolling was forbidden. Okay, that's not going to work here. Let me try to do demo it on a different, let's say like a website or something. Let me demo it on the website. So I think we already have something like that here on this particular website. We have so we have buttons that are prototyped to scroll down to a particular frame. So this one is designed to scroll down to this about us frame. So when you click on this about us, it's supposed to scroll down to this about us frame, and this plans also is supposed to scroll down to this frame. So how that looks like in practice, what that looks like in practice is right. So in practice, that looks like this. So if you click on this about us, it scrolls down to the about us frame. It scrolls down to the about us frame. And if you click our plans, it scrolls down to the plans this thing. Then this one also scrolls down to how it works, and this scrolls down to FAQs. So that's how it works. I think the programming is is basically to click to scroll to. So it scrolls to a particular frame. So that means you also have to work with frames, and it works best, if your app is segmented, is divided into segments, so that when you now click on one, and then it can take you to that particular segment that you wanted it to go to. So that's how to prototype that one. Right. Are there any questions at this point? I think we are getting to the end. So actually, I've been waiting for Abiola. Abiola is the brand designer. He's supposed to take a class for you on branding, because I saw some apps that designs that some of you did, great designs, but you can see that it lacks on the branding aspect. And then Victor is supposed to take you on style guide, on designing and building up style guide. Style guides help you in consistency. So if you look at, for instance, this design, you can see it's consistent. So basically the buttons are consistent. The fonts consistent, like basically it's consistent. I can tell that all these things belong to one app. And in fact, if you jump from one app, this is the website now. That's the website, and this is the web app. And it will still be looking like it's from the same family, even though they are different products technically. But looking at it, you would know that. Why is everything taking time to open? So looking at it, you know that they belong to the same family of products, right? Because it's designed using a style guide. So the style guide is supposed to kind of bring a consistency, to your design, so that even if you are designing different things, even if you are, in fact, let's even say designing a flyer, these are flyers, right? But looking at it, you know that these flyers came from the same company that made these websites, right? So that's kind of what style guys do. So you guys are supposed to, Abiola is taking the class on branding, and Victor will take the class on style guides and designing style guide and working with style guides and design systems, right? So I think that will be it for this class. If you don't have any other questions, if you have questions or maybe reviews for your coursework, you can ask this time, or you can do it at this time. Right. Okay.
Sorry, I want to ask something, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that interface you are working on, the prototype that you are doing, I don't know, it's like you had two versions of prototype, the one that you are adjusting. I don't know if it's the same.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I actually wanted to basically demonstrate how I connected everything together, right? So the first one, the second one I brought up is like the original version, like of how the thing is already all designed and all of that. The first one I brought up was more like I copied from the original one to show you how I connected everything up together. Do you understand? Or how you should connect things like that together.
Okay, but it's still the same prototype.
Well, yeah, well, not the same prototype. Let's say call it the same app, the same design.
Yes.
Yeah, but the prototype is not the same, right? Because the first one I showed you was not even prototype at all. We are prototyping it today, on the go. But the original one, the one I now went back to, I was not showing you how it scrolls horizontally and vertically. That one is the original. That's the original design.
Okay, because I was confused. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's a pet project I'm working on. It's nothing serious for now. It's nothing serious for now, but it's something I'm working on. Yeah.
All right. I'm available in case when it's when it sets up.
So like the product. Let me stop recording actually because this is not working.
Okay.